I happened to be out getting food last night, and she texted me. I was at the drive-thru here at Freddy's, and that was their meal. I had already purchased.
Dad meal is different.
Dad meal. I had already been to the $12 salad store twice in one day, and the same employees were there. That's the first time I've pulled that off. I was at the $12 salad store for lunch. Okay.
Wow, you guys must love your job. We're extremely short of help.
Actually, they said that. Interesting. Okay, side note before we get to the verdict, which was huge yesterday. I order on the app at the $12 salad store. And I put in my order, and it spun for a while, and it said, your charge is $0.00. And I thought, awesome, this is a win. And sometimes it does that because I've bought 10 of them, and you get the next one free.
Yeah. In one day.
Wasn't that time. Right. I had just had that about 3 or 4 days ago, and I was like, it's really not time for that, but whatevs. I was like, I'll go get it, So I go in, and my order is not there. And I gave them my name and everything, and they said, let me tell you, we've just changed over our process to a P.O.S., and it's not working very well. And I said...
I know what P.O.S. stands for.
I did. I was like, I get it. A P.O.S.
We change over to P.O.S.'s too.
Ask the people who stream this show.
Well, I
get a lot of emails with the subject line, P.O.S.
And the owner of several of the franchises happened to be there. And he came up to me and said, did I just hear you had an order issue? And I said, well, I ordered online. I ordered an app, and it didn't work. And he goes, we just changed over to a P.O.S. system.
I get it, brother.
They tell me you're the man who ate 4 salads in one day. I want to shake your hand. Can I put your photograph in the vestibule?
Well,
no one eats 4 salads in one day.
He bought my $12 salad. He said, because you had so much trouble. And the line, and it happened to a lot of people, apparently. And the line was around the block. And he said, listen, we're doing the best we can. We're short-staffed. We get a lot of people coming in here for lunch. And I said,
we got this new P.O.S.
He said it. He said it like 4 times. Like, yeah, man.
Yeah. I get it, brother.
I guess.
Different industries, but brothers in arms.
I said, everything around me is a POS.
Yeah.
My computer's a POS. My equipment's a POS. My car's a POS. The stream is a POS.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's like, well, and I guess that means some sort of software. I don't know.
Yeah, it does.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I kept telling him about it.
It's ironic that it's called a POS system, but yes.
Finally, I got it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's an actual term for something. Well, long story short, he bought my $12 salad, but because he did, every employee saw me and they were like, okay, we're making one out of order. And I was like the center of attention for 2 minutes. Okay. So last night, I'm out and about, and I think, I'm just going to get the same darn thing for dinner,
I'm going to go see my family.
The only ones who really care about me.
Where I'm respected.
Finally. So I walked in, and they all looked at me like, my God, weren't you here for lunch? I mean, they did. They looked at me. I know now they're getting to the point where, I'm one of those guys where they're just like, this is such a sad sack. Yeah.
You'll know when they actually have your order ready. When you start to show up at the same time.
You worked pizza.
Yeah.
Were there guys who ordered pizza every day? Because now I'm getting to that point where I'm ordering it every day. I can't go to Chicken and Pickles. I'm on a Mediterranean plan.
Every day, no. But there were, people that you delivered to 4 or 5 days a week.
Right.
There was one guy who constantly ordered. I remember his order. A small ground beef pizza with a 20-ounce Sprite.
Every day.
Every day. Most days, at least 5 days a week.
What time of day would the order come
Always
in?
at noon, like roughly around lunchtime. But he would constantly just open the door in his boxers only.
Oh, you delivered to him. Do you think he was making a sexual play to you?
No, I think not towards me, but he always had his computer in the background and music blaring. And I just don't, he was just an odd guy.
Yeah.
But I'd say at least 4 or 5 times a week, his order would pop up, small ground beef pizza, 20-ounce Sprite, and you take it to him. He always tipped like $3. So this backwards just tells you how long ago.
It's a smallish order.
Yeah, that was when, it used to be, there was no delivery fee, there's no delivery minimum, but it just tells you too how long ago it was. He always paid with a check.
Oh, really? He wrote a check and put $3 extra on it.
Yeah, his total was always like $12, $12, and he always put $3 extra on there.
Well, they know I'm coming now. And so last night I said to the wife and kids, I said the wife. She hates it when I say. I said to my gorgeous wife and my children, "Let me just get you a $12 salad down here. That's where I'm going." And they were like, "No, we want burgers and fries." And I said, "Okay." And then I said, "Well, I've had my last cheeseburger. I'm off red meat."
We know.
And she said, "Why don't you get real for a minute and admit that you're going to have a cheeseburger at some point?" And I said, "I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to do that."
Yeah, you are.
We were at butting heads there. And she goes, "Get off this frou-frou salad kick." And I said, "Not."
When you, well, maybe I should ask Biggie because he has pretty good insights on these things. But I guess my question is, when you inevitably crack and have your next cheeseburger, will it be in a public place or will it be a private thing?
I think it'll be private.
Will you do it alone in your car, or will this be like at a family setting?
No.
The car?
It's going to be public.
Oh, you think?
And here's why. We're slowly moving into lake season.
We are.
And
you're right.
Okay, that's a good point.
A little early this year, too. You're right. Warm.
Yeah, it's been a warm
winter. Yeah.
You can avoid it, but you will be bullied into eating a burger there.
You're right.
Lakeside?
Yeah, because a little bit, come on. You're like, no.
I've been off a salad.
Yeah.
I've been off red meat.
Yeah, come on, just eat a burger. And you need to mix a little red meat in because they always say the longer you go without red meat, the first time you have it, your stomach's in trouble.
Oh, that's true.
So
that's true.
If you decide to eat, if they push you into eating a big, thick, juicy cheeseburger by the lake, you might be stopping at a roadside store on the way home.
That's
really quickly running in there.
Well, I was in the drive-thru over at the burger place over at Freddy's, and my wife texts me, "Inside sources are telling me verdict tonight." And I said, "No way." I mean, I was like, what are you talking about? What did they deliberate? 2 hours? It's like, there's no way. And I said, "You mean tomorrow?" And she goes, "No." And she goes, "They've been given the 3-minute warning to get back to the court." And I said, "What?"
I couldn't believe how quickly everything happened.
Yeah.
Stunner. I mean, stunner. And I mean, I got those burgers and that lemonade and those and those fries. And I walked in the door, and then I walked in like the judge was talking. They had not done the verdict yet.
Oh.
And my wife said, "Shut up." And the kids, we have no kitchen, of course, so we're just sitting on couches eating burgers and $12 salads. And it starts, and my daughter started to say something, poor thing, and I thought she was going to get thrown out.
Oh, yeah.
You shut it.
Silence.
You shut it. And, Biggie and I told you guys, it's like, wife says inside sources say verdict coming, which I still thought that's a mistake. There's no way. Not tonight.
Shocked. Yeah.
But, of course, it was true. And Biggie said, "I think not guilty." And I did, too. I had the feeling not guilty.
Yeah, you both put it in writing.
I did. Well, because I thought, and I know they normally say a quick verdict equals guilty.
Guilt, yes.
But in this case, from everything that your wife had reported on, how these jurors acted, I thought they've got to be not just that quickly. They're like, no, it's just not. We don't see it.
I know. And then I got home, and my wife said, it's so fast, it's got to be guilty. And that's the truth, too. And so I was really torn up, but I just felt like he is so prominent in the town that 12 jurors wouldn't convict him, even though they came back so quickly. And I'll tell you, I watched the closing argument of just one of the prosecutors yesterday, and he was really good. When he laid out the timeline, real Southern guy. I don't know, not the lead prosecutor, but another lawyer on the team. And when he laid it out, it's like, I mean, how could it not be? The timeline was such that it just was almost impossible for him to not be
not
killed.
A shade of a reasonable doubt.
For me,
that's
no.
what it appears.
And he said, and that lawyer even said, in my mind, there's no doubt at all. There's not a scintilla of doubt, but all we have to prove is beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
And he goes, reasonable people like y'all can see. The guy's at the murder scene 2 minutes before the murders. And we have him on tape there, And he lied time and time and time again,
I think what swayed me, too, was that you always, when you saw, like, I didn't watch the trial like your wife did. I mean, from every moment.
Yeah.
What I saw a lot of was the highlights where he's crying and saying, so I get swayed by that. But what I saw last night is after the verdict was read, one legal person said, this is the real Murdaugh right here that you see. When they read the verdict, he was guilty. He didn't react.
Right.
They said, this is who he is. Everything you saw was a performance.
Yes.
The real him is standing right here. He killed his wife and his son, and he does not have any emotion towards it.
That's quite an indictment.
Yeah, it really is.
His snotty testimony was all just an act.
An act.
And they said, this is the real him. He's a cold, calculated man who did everything he had to do to preserve himself, and that meant killing his wife and son.
My God, what a terrible thing to say about somebody.
I was like, he's exactly right. The guy had, for all the emotion he showed on the stand, crying, and other times, absolutely none.
I said to my wife, this is going to be, he's going to break down if they find him guilty. She said he won't. He'll be
very little reaction.
Exactly right.
And I thought this is what the jury saw the whole time. Then they saw him being cold, and then he'd put it on when he needed to.
Yeah.
But if I was a juror, I'd be sitting there going, he's not really reacting to anything.
You know, we didn't really get into the inside details of some of this case. Do you know the thing that really put him away was and my wife just told me this yesterday. This is very inside this case. You know, those two were killed down next to the dog kennels. Well, there was a dog there that was not theirs. It was a friend's dog, and the dog had something wrong with his tail. Turned out to be a broken tail. So the young guy that was killed, his son, was texting with the dog's owner, and the dog's owner said, show me a FaceTime, and they had very difficult cell reception down there at the kennels, and they couldn't get the FaceTime to work. So he's texting. You can see all these texts. And he said, well, take a video of his tail and send it to me. So he's taking a video of the dog's tail, and that's when you hear Alex Murdaugh in the background, not realizing that a video is being taken, talking to another dog, Bubba, because the dog Bubba had a chicken in his mouth. He's like, Bubba, get over here, because he had attacked a chicken. And so you hear that on the video. Well, meanwhile, these two, the guy that was killed, Paul, who's taking the video of the dog with the broken tail, they're going back and forth with the dog's owner. Well, he never sends the video because he's killed before he does.
He can't hit send.
He didn't hit send, but he took the video. So, and it's in real time. So the other guy on the other end is like, hey, man, where's the video? You know, send me the video. What are you doing? And he was dead. And so that's how they got him. They put him on the scene 3 minutes before the murder took place because the Alex Murdaugh is talking to the dog. Bubba's like, Bubba, get over here. And that's it. That's his voice on it. And he said he was not there and then admitted on the stand, well, I lied about that because I'm on opioids.
Yeah.
I mean, common sense tells you. I think the verdict is right. And that's what this lawyer was saying yesterday in his closing argument. It's like, use your common sense. He's there. You know?
And like Biggie, I don't watch a lot of courtroom cases, but we had this on because you know, the timing worked out. And it was such a speedy thing, too. And afterward, it appeared that the judge was in wholehearted agreement in his remarks to the jurors, thanking them for their service. He said, you know, you based your verdict on the evidence, the facts, and he said, I think you came to the only logical conclusion.
Yes.
And that's pretty solid.
I think so, too.
It sounds like the state made its case.
Absolutely. And now the judge, I think, will probably give him life in prison. And that'll be that. And, you know, that's today. And my wife is like, I should be there.
Well, she should.
The whole time. You know?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Where is she?
She's at home.
Okay. See, I really expected her to get up at 2 a.m. and make the drive.
Same.
I said to her, and she was ready. She was packing. And I said, sweetheart, are you going to drive 4 hours for the judge to speak for 5 minutes?
Where's my toothbrush?
And then drive back home another 4
I need my deodorant.
Are you going? I said to her, let's use some common sense of our own. Are you going to spend 8 hours in the car to be in a courtroom for 8 minutes so that this judge can say life in prison, which we all know he's going to say?
Well,
and she wanted to. But she's worn her tires out. We're putting new tires on the car today.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, the car's in the shop.
Huh.
So I said, this is just something. Plus, who's going to take the children to school? You're supposed to. It's our carpool day. All these things, you know.
I will tell you, the judge reminds me a lot of Dave Aiken.
You think?
I like the judge a lot.
Yeah.
But he takes his sweet ass time.
He does a lot of pausing. You're right.
Yeah. And especially, you know, and it started kind of made me chuckle in the beginning where they couldn't figure out which side to read. Like with the papers. He's like, nope, flip it.
Flip it back.
Read the back. Nope, read that first.
The way it was read was a little anticlimactic. You know, it was like a lot of the OJ verdict. This is 25 years ago. But she was like the above entitled action, Orenthal, James Simpson, not guilty, and you know, there it is.
Yeah, there was more, I guess, legalese. You know, each specific case, each specific charge.
Yeah, and then when she said guilty, now we edited
the first time she actually turned. She goes, in the case of such and such, the charge is murder. Then she turned to the judge. Do I say guilty now? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Then he's guilty.
Here's the edit.
The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for murder. Guilty. Verdict.
That's it. That's what you got.
Yeah.
It was all.
It took a little longer.
But he reminded me of Dave just the way he'd be like, oh,
Yeah. Oh, I know.
well, it's been a long day. When y'all want to do sentence?
Let's do it tomorrow. Let's just
Tomorrow?
do it.
You be ready at 9:30? We could.
All right.
Defense? We could. All right.
Let's do 9:30.
We're going to do 9:30?
Let's like getting together for
Yeah.
breakfast. Let's y'all do 9:30
Yeah.
now.
I can't do 9. Let's do 9:30.
And then my wife is like, well, there's Gina and there's Barbara. And I mean, everybody in the courtroom. She's, I got my picture with her and there's my friend Denise and all these things, you know.
Was the media caught flat-footed, or were they prepared?
I think they were prepared because afterwards there was a lot of shouting questions at the attorney general. Because we kept it, listen, it was like Super Bowl aftermath for us. We kept it on all night. I said, can I watch Friends now? Don't you dare change that channel. No, we're not watching. No. You've seen all these Friends anyway. And then my son came. My wife had rewound it to rewatch to go inside the numbers. And my son came home and he walked in and she said, don't you open your mouth. And I said, we know, we've already seen it. We know we don't need to yell at the children anymore. It's done.
She needs silence.
It's over. She needed silence last night. She was really in her element last night. We're going to have her on one more time today to recap the trial.
I don't know if you guys were copied on this email. I can't recall. But we have a hardcore P1 listener who, for whatever reason, her work schedule is 4 days a week. So she has Fridays off. And she says, I'm not certain when Kelly, your wife, is going to be given one of her reports about the verdict.
Yeah.
And she said, here's my number. Call me. Wake me up when she's on.
Call and wake you up.
Well, yeah, that's what she asked.
Well, I mean, we try to go above and beyond here, don't we?
Yeah.
We're gonna just we'll call you.
No, we won't.
Call you and wake you up. The A Train will be on in about 40 to 45 minutes to give her final report on this trial. I know she was really
summation.
surprised. Her summation. I know she was very surprised that the verdict came back in so quickly.
I didn't see much reaction from the family, from Buster or anyone either.
They raced out.
Did they get out?
They put Buster had a coat over his head and they ushered him to a car and he was gone, you know. So it was that.
I noticed during the proceedings, too, you know, there's a lot of, I guess, formality. Once the verdict had been read, I suppose either side, maybe prosecution, defense, they call it polling the jury. And you ask each individual member of the jury, was this your verdict? And they all said yes.
Yeah.
But during that, you could see when they went to the long shot of the gallery, at least two deputies standing right next to the surviving son.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they were going to usher him out as soon as they could.
And then when the camera wheels by watching Murdaugh go out, you see a good shot of the jury.
Yeah,
That
first
was
time.
Very bad.
And A-Train said, that's a big mistake. They're not, because the judge had, when the A-Train was there, the judge told the jury, you will never be seen. We will make sure that your privacy. So you just got about 3 or 4 seconds of a pan across the jury. A-Train paused it, took a still shot. She's like, that's so-and-so and that's so-and-so. And I thought she'd vote not guilty. And, you know, all of these things, you know.
My hunch is that you will see at least 2 or 3 of them on the morning news programs.
That's possible.
The
Yeah.
jurors.
That's certainly
It's
possible.
not
They do
uncommon
that.
at
That's
all.
right. That's
I give the defense credit too, because they were throwing everything last minute. They did the polling of the jury, and then the very last thing he goes, how about a mistrial?
Can I get a...
Hey, yeah. And the judge is like, I don't know. That's where again, he's like hemming and hawing on. He's like, well, look, I feel like the state presented a pretty good. And I'm like, just tell him no.
Can I get a mistrial on this thing?
Yeah.
I mean, is there any way?
Can a brother get a mistrial?
No, not going to do that.